Alright, Barak Yahweh, Barak Yahweh Shai, Barak Yahweh, Barak Yahweh Shai, Barak Yahweh, Barak Yahweh Shai. Okay, double honors to the apostles of GreatMillStone. Alright, honest you brothers will be pushing this truth in sincerity throughout the four corners of the earth, and all praise unto Yahweh Shai. So I wanted to do this video going into slavery and how America, Babylon, the great whore, has benefited greatly from slavery, and as a result they've got much wealth. In fact, America was just an English domain, if you will, okay, a entity underneath the British government, the British monarchy, for a period of time, and through slavery, through this enslavement of the Israelites, which was all due to prophecy. When you go into the book of Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter and the 68th verse, you find out that the Israelites was going to go into captivity by way of slave ships. And as a result of that, they became the most dominant economic powerhouse on the face of the planet. Now, when you have a thing called a world reserve currency, then it's no a hard assumption, or it's not a hard conclusion to come to say you're the controllers of the economy. You're the dominant force behind it, okay? And America is, okay? They got the biggest consumer market because they got the largest spending power. Now you got it to where some currencies are stronger, but they don't have the same longevity as America will do because of that petrol dollar, okay? And that's another thing, okay? And that was all created, or it came about as a result of what you see in the images here, right? Dealing with Jake's Israelites, the Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans, but predominantly Judah, Benjamin, and Levi going into slavery. And really the point I was doing this video about is that the understanding of slavery is that it's a necessary thing to happen. It needs to happen for you to have a dominant economy. And what I'm going to read for you when I get into the side of the scriptures is you're going to find out that we, the Israelites, when we take control of this kingdom, we can take control of the earth and set up the kingdom of heaven, we're going to be the ones that's going to have the dominant economy. But how are we going to establish that dominant economy? We're going to establish that dominant economy by having all of these nations in subjection. Now, brothers, I want you to think about how dominant that economy is going to be. Okay, if we say America was built up off of Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, Judah, Benjamin, Levi being in captivity, that's a third, okay, of is that a third? That's a quarter, if you will, of all the Israelites, okay, because you got 12 tribes, right? 12 divided by 4 is what? Is 3. So that's a quarter of the nation, and America was built into being this dominant powerhouse upon the face of the earth. So how are we gonna be, okay, when we got all the 17 nations right up until the Esau gets wiped off the face of the earth, therefore 16 nations underneath subjection? I'm talking about having Moab, Ammon, okay? Look at the Moabites right now. They're what? Standing 1 billion strong. Now we know there's gonna be Israelites among them, but we're gonna have all of them nations under subjection. So our kingdom is gonna be strong, man. Our economy is gonna be strong, man. Okay, because we're gonna have all of these nations in subjection. Matter of fact, let's go to that in the scriptures first, and then we go into the history, and then I'll finish it off in the book of Revelations, the 13th chapter and the 9th verse. Okay, slavery is economics. Economics is slavery. That's just how it works. They might say you're emancipated, or you're just being transferred to be a corporate slave now. And as for the other people that are winning the world, talking about Moab and all of this, that, and the third, they're in hardcore captivity making shoes for about $1. And they sell them shoes off for what? $120. Jake killing themselves to get these shoes left, right, and center. And the corporations getting hella money off of that. And we're gonna do the same thing. But we ain't gonna hide the under the banner of corporations. No, you're gonna know it's slavery. And that's how we're gonna build to be the strongest ever imaginable kingdom. That's what the kingdom of heaven is gonna be built. Talking about all of this great goodness, okay, that the Most High is saying he's going to provide. How do you think he's going to do that? Okay, how do you think that's going to come about? That's going to come about by having other nations in slavery. That's how it came about for America. That's how it came about for Esau. And you damn better be sure that that's exactly how it's going to come about for the 12 tribes of Israel. We're going to have you nations in captivity, hardcore slavery. Okay, now we know that ultimately you're gonna be all right, barring Esau. We know every other nation except for Esau is gonna be all right at some point, and they're gonna have their own thing going on, but it's still gonna be known that we're the dominant. So you're talking about America being built up in 250 years. Well, the scripture talks about how pretty much we're gonna build up for a period of 1,000 years. So America built into the most dominant place upon the earth, and it took some time. It took 250 years. We're gonna take 1,000 years to build ours, man. So we're gonna be damn good. So you're talking about Moab and Ammon having their own peace. They ain't gonna have their own peace for a little while, man. And that's where the period of time where the economics, okay, of building up a kingdom is gonna come into play, right? Just like how America was built. 250 years of hardcore slavery for the Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans, but predominantly Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. Okay, that's what built America. But we're not just going to use 3 tribes out of the nation of Edom or Ammon or Moab. We're going to use all 17 nations to build up the kingdom of heaven, the kingdom of Israel. Okay, with King David with Yahweh at the top, King David underneath them, and or the house of David, and then the elected and everybody else. Okay, that's how we're gonna build, man, and we're gonna be strong, man, because we're gonna have 1,000 years of just unpaid labor force, just building up. So how dominant do you think we're gonna be? Okay, how dominant of an economic powerhouse do you think the Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans are going to be? And not only that, after that hardcore slavery is, or balance, if you will, okay, vengeance has been established, and you've built our kingdom up, as pursuant to this scripture, you're still going to find out that we're going to be, you're going to be tributaries unto us. You're going to be paying us taxes, man. You're going to be paying us taxes, but we're going to be establishing those taxes and those like the scripture's going to say, the forces from the Gentiles. We're going to do that in righteousness. Look how Esau takes everything you got. Okay, your land, your sister, your auntie, okay, your left shoe. No. We're gonna do that in righteousness. So let's read this precept right quick. It says, "Arise, shine, for the light is come. All right, the glory of the Lord is risen upon thee. For behold, the darkness shall cover the earth." And that's the time we're living in right now, where just gross darkness all over the place, man. Horrible place to be in. The worst possible situation. Okay, and the people. Gross darkness to people, but the Most High shall rise upon thee, and his glory shall be seen upon thee. Okay, now this is fast forwarding a lot now, because the Lord, people are seeing the glory of the Lord upon us by way of the word. They're really gonna see the glory of the Lord when the Lord says, "Look, now this is my people," and everybody's gonna know it. Okay, and this is where this comes into effect. So the Gentiles shall come to thy light, and the kings of the earth to thy brightness. They're gonna be tributaries, man. Okay, you got it to where Britain sells services. Okay, and there's no manufacturing. That's them kings of the earth coming to Britain, okay, to learn of the British ways, how to set up an economy like the British set up an economy, how to set up their schools like how the British set up their schools rather more. But we're going to do that in terms of righteousness, establishing the laws, statutes, commandments of the Most High first and foremost before we get into business, economics, and circular teachings, man. Okay. Lift up thine head, thy eyes shall see, and all they gather themselves together, and they shall come to thee, and thy sons shall come from afar, and thy daughters, shall be nursed at thy side. Okay, and let's see if there's any more points I want in that. So pretty much that's the point I wanted in that precept. But let me go now to this article and just pull out a few points. Okay, so I just want to just look at the assumptions. Okay, it says some fundamental assumptions about the history of slavery and the history of the United States remains strangely unchanged. Okay, because you got some assumptions out there that America just got good and they got well off because they did some good maneuvering of business maneuvering. That's not the case. They became rich because they had Jake in captivity, hardcore captivity at that. That's how they made all their money, man. Okay, it says fundamental assumptions about the history of slavery in America and the history of the United States remain strangely unchanged. The first major assumption is that the economic systems, a way of producing and trading commodities, American slavery was fundamentally different from the rest of the modern economy and separate from it. It wasn't. You're talking about cotton trade. When you watch them movies, what them slaves doing? They was picking cotton, man. Okay, they was part of a bigger business system around them, man. They was working, man. Okay, they was catching hell. They was catching L's, hells. Okay, they was catching L's. Okay,
let's carry on now. It says, and separate from it says the stories about industrialization emphasizes white immigrants and clever inventors, but they leave out cotton fields and slave labor. And that's how America was built up, man. Okay, you're talking about all of these major banks. All of these major banks, when you have old money and this, that, and the third, that old money is slave money, man. Catching hells, okay? Catching hells, man. Okay, and during the 19th century, a period in which the nations went from being a minor European trading partner to becoming the world's largest economy, one of the central stories of the American history. Okay, the second major assumption is that slavery in the United States fundamentally is contradiction with the political and economic system of liberating a public. It says, and that inevitably the contradiction would be resolved in favor of the free labor North sooner than later. Slavery would have ended by the operation of the historical forces. Thus, slavery is a story without a suspense. A story with a predetermined outcome isn't a story at all. Okay, and they're just going into the fact that, okay, they might have you believe that the political system was different from that. But when you really look at the political system and how it's set up, you was really emancipated when Esau was hundreds of generations, or more 3-4 generations ahead of you. So you're talking about going into an affluent neighborhood. You already had it to where inflation is taking place. Okay, of those house prices already gone out. So you got it to where you got systematically, you've got it to where you got genocide. Was it genocide? No, systematic segregation, man. So you can't buy up into them neighborhoods, and if you can, you're gonna devalue the whole neighborhood, and then you're gonna have what's known as white flight, man. Okay, but the political system, that's where that was all set up from. Okay, because the political system has it to where what you are still impoverished unto this day, because what you're still a slave underneath the banner of employment. Okay, so I'm not gonna go through all of that. You can go to it for yourself. But the point really that I was making is that all of this wealth that you so-called America's got, it came off of the back of slave labor force. And America's one, John marveled when he saw the metaphorical image that America was, the woman, and she was arrayed in all of these, this, that, and the third. Well, the same thing is going to apply for Israel, okay? But not only are we going to have just 3 nations in captivity, not just Judah, Benjamin, Levi in terms of quantity, we're going to have every nation underneath captivity. We're going to have them all in slavery. And that's going to make Jerusalem great, man. Okay, that's going to make our city like just damn. Okay, 1,000 years of every single person within the world, except for an Israelite, building up towards one goal, which is the embedment of the Israelites. Damn. Okay, now that's some food for your thought. That's some food for your mind right there. Okay, so if any man have an ear, let him hear. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. So all of the nations that we're talking about enslaving actually ever had us in slavery at one point. Okay, you had the Arab slave trade. Okay, you had the Medo-Persians. They really had it to where, they inherited a kingdom where the Israelites were in slavery, but they liberated them. So for a period of time, they had us in slavery. Okay, you had it to where the Babylonians, they took us into captivity. Assyrians took the Native American Latin-speaking tribes into captivity. So they're all going to go into captivity. And plus, hey, man, just speaking a word against the Israelites means you're cursed. And what's more accursed than what? Than being in slavery. So just these other nations that look down upon us, they're going into captivity just for looking down upon us, man. Does not the scripture say within the book of Numbers, blessed are they that bless thee, O Jacob? Okay, and cursed are they that curse thee. It's a curse to go into captivity. It's a curse to go into slavery. That's why it's in the book of Deuteronomy 28, chapter 68th verse. It's a curse. So these people are cursed just for looking down upon the men of the Lord when they're going into the word, man. Just for looking down on or just a bum nigger, and you got it to where Ammon or Moab looks down upon them. Well, guess what? That whole line is cursed. The whole family is cursed, and they're gonna go into captivity because them curses, they need to exist within the earth. Right now, they're upon us, but they're gonna go be transferred unto the heathens. It said, he that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints. So pretty much that's how Jerusalem, Israel is going to be built up, man. Okay, that's how we're going to get rich, hella rich. Because we're going to have not just Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, like how America had Judah, Benjamin, and Levi in captivity. No, just everybody's going to be slaves for a period of time, man. and then eventually they're going to get their own peace, but still become tributaries. You can read about that within the book of Isaiah, the 60th chapter. So that I'm going to say, all praise unto Yahweh Hashem outside. Lord's will, that was of edification. And Lord's will, we get to do this again. Okay, shalom.